Hello Internet, and welcome to my review of the Redcat Racing Blackout XTE Pro Brushless. I only had to retry saying the brushless part instead of blushless 6 times. So to start off, just an overview of the features on this vehicle. It is 1/10 scale, the brushless motor found inside is 3800 kVs, the vehicle is 4-wheel drive, 2.4 gigahertz equipped with the included radio, includes a 3200 mAh 20C LiPo that is a hard case and has the from the top style wiring. I thought that was a pretty sweet battery for the included battery. The included wall charger will get you up and running in about 3.5 hours, give or take. They claim it is actually waterproof on the box. That's brave. We'll see where that goes. Top speed of around 35 to say 38 miles an hour. I'm sorry for not being dead on. My speed gun is me chasing it down the road with my actual car. And you can get this for $200 shipped to your door, and that is US pricing anyway. So worth noting, you can actually get it in a gray SUV style, though I can't really recommend that because I've seen a lot of people saying that the back part of that, due to the higher body post style, they break the body post and the body a whole lot easier than this truck one. That being said, the first time I had this out, I snapped the entire area of what would basically be the tailgate straight out of the blue body truck shell, as you can see here in this picture. So my initial thoughts going into this. I got this as a Christmas gift. Thanks, Mom and Dad. I've had several of the more name brand bashers in the past. Now this was my first off-brand for just a straight up backyard toying around type basher. There were 3 big things that I was really concerned with going into this. First and foremost, obviously just the build quality itself. Close runner-up, I was just very curious about that claimed waterproofing that is always just a really nice thing to have as far as cleanup and things, if it works as intended. And third, just the overall performance. Is it fun to drive? So let's start off with the build quality. The first big thing that you can't help but notice when you pop the shell off of this truck is those beefy, thick metal shock towers. Now, if you manage to bend one of those, on a 10th scale vehicle especially, you probably just need to calm down or learn to drive better. This thing also has a steel center drive shaft, steel dog bones, adjustable camber links, ball bearings on all 4 corners, which lets you kind of squeeze a little extra runtime out of your packs. I was getting somewhere around 20 minutes or so on the included 3200 pack. The diffs and the transmission are built with steel gears and appear to be very similar to the diffs that you would find in most Redcat and Exceed brand RCs, like the Exceed Drift Cars and the Dynamite, I think is what it's called. It's extremely similar as well to the diffs that are in a Traxxas Slash 4x4, which they seem to be all but bulletproof in all those vehicles. So steel gears, differential, good thing. I've had a rally car built with the Exceed RC equivalent, and when I threw 5700 kVs and a 3S pack at it, let's just say the diffs were not the problem. This thing's extremely well put together. I didn't find any loose screws out of the box. I've ran this thing in temperatures below freezing several times and still haven't managed to break a single thing on it. The body has its fair share of cracks and chips, especially that rear thing I mentioned at the beginning, but I would say that's fair considering every time I broke it, it was around 15 degrees Fahrenheit outside, and plastic just isn't really cool with that. Ha puns. Moving on to a less wordy topic, the waterproofing. Many vehicles claim to be waterproof. Most of these, they generally will try to word it more as water resistant. Now, I'm not saying go drive this around in the bottom of your pool like an idiot, but after the second or third time that I had it absolutely coated in snow, which would obviously be melting down over the warm ESC and motor, I finally just started washing the whole truck in my kitchen sink after the dirtier runs. And everything still works like a charm, so I would say it's pretty much held up its end of the waterproof bargain. Just keep in mind that those ball bearings will seize up and need replacing considerably sooner if you don't dab some marine grease on them first, or just kind of try to dry them out extra well by maybe taking the tires off or something. So all these things are great, but how well does it actually perform? My Toyota Corolla, aka the poor man's RC speed gun, is a well-built machine, but let me tell you, that does not translate to fun-to-drive sports car. Thankfully, though, the Redcat Blackout is a lot more fun to drive than my '99 Corolla. It doesn't crack wheelies on command like my Corolla does, but actually, I think that's just due to the shocks being set up extremely soft out of the box. I added some slightly thicker shock oil, 40 weight if I remember correctly. The stock oil seemed to be around maybe 25 or 30. And that helped a little bit as far as the handling and that kind of swimminess where when you come out of a turn and you try to get on the throttle, it just wants to weave back and forth because the front end is still working its way back up. You can also adjust the shocks themselves without needing collars because the truck actually comes equipped with threaded body shocks. I know, that's awesome. But after playing around with that some, I ended up going back to basically the stock setup minus the shock oil change. It handles about as well as I think you could really get out of the stock tires, just as the way it is out of the box. Granted, you'll need to lower the threaded collars if you plan to get some bigger airtime, because the seemingly optimal setup for handling appears to have it setting a little too soft and low for bigger jumps. Now, as far as those stock tires I mentioned go, these are very similar to the tires you'll find on a stock Traxxas Stampede. They're a little narrower than those, but a pretty close match to that pattern and rubber compound. Like those tires, they're great as far as stock tires go, and pretty much the best you could really ask for in a RTR, just backyard basher vehicle. They will last a long time without needing replaced, even with a good amount of pavement burnouts and donuts and all the crap you know you're going to do. The truck handles pretty well overall, and the four-wheel drive definitely helps that handling for sure. The diff oil does seem fairly light, and I don't plan on changing it though, since I've found that I'm really preferring how well it handles to just kind of correcting itself with that loose diff setup. Now that's specific to me because I drive primarily on loose surfaces like gravel and baseball fields. You would probably need to add something a little thicker for something like a clay track, as it tends to diff out constantly and lose a bunch of its momentum actually coming into the sharper turns on those particular types of surfaces. The steering servo is a little slow, but it's not so bad that it hurts the overall driving experience. I would actually say it compares pretty seriously to the Traxxas 2075. As far as that 3800 kV motor, it puts the power down in a really pretty balanced way. What I mean by that is that it's just fast enough to keep things interesting, but it's not so insane, castle, careful with it, buddy, that an experienced RCer can't just kind of keep it under control and not be just snapping parts left and right every time they get it out and drive it. I thought at first that this vehicle would be getting my Castle 5700 kV combo pretty quick, honestly, after getting it, because I like to break things. But I actually don't think I'll do that anytime soon until I get to that point where I'm just bored with the setup. Now, I've ran somewhere around maybe 25 packs through this vehicle, and I still haven't managed to break one single part. 0 broken parts. If you're into RC and a busy person, you know how nice that is. On that note, one of the biggest things that is very, very even on that curve of what you're getting to kind of what you're paying, that graph, ease of maintenance. Now, Traxxas, they just can't be beat when it comes to how easy it is to work on those and maintain those vehicles. But if you're new to the hobby, just know that it is the biggest drawback to brands like Redcat and XTE. When something breaks, it's likely going to be a challenge to figure out how exactly to get to it, and you're more than likely going to need to take several other parts off to get there in the first place. So who is this vehicle for exactly? It's cheap enough to be in the realm of an easy recommendation as a my first hobby grade RC. This thing is 200 McChickens. Are those even still $1? I quit trusting fast food joints when I went through a Taco Bell and my $5 box was $7 and change because I wanted a burrito to be chicken. Why ask if I want chicken, beef, or steak for my $5 box if my answer has the power to change the part where the title of the box is $5? Dang it! Where was I? I'm sorry. Yes, the Blackout. It's durable enough for a newcomer. There isn't a fun upgrade path to plan out either, like with Traxxas vehicles and other brands, but it's a pretty well set up out of the box. So this truck hits a kind of happy, wonderful little medium. Yes, it's probably not quite as durable as a Traxxas. I've cartwheeled the crap out of it and ran into my own Corolla and things like that, and I still haven't broken anything. And yes, there are no upgrades available aside from the obvious, like a motor and ESC steering servo if you really wanted to or had extras laying around. But what you get out of the box for your money is pretty awesome. You can just leave it as is, take it out, bash the crap out of it, jump, sling some mud, catch some air, show it to people who have never actually driven an RC car and let them try it, clean it off, put it up, all that, and the whole thing is still just, fun. And that's what matters. You don't snap drive shafts every time you hit the ground with the throttle pinned because you didn't spend $50 on MIPs yet. It's just good, simple fun. So thanks for watching. I think it's pretty obvious. I like this vehicle. It's not for everyone, but like I said, if just a fun, simple vehicle sounds like what you're looking for, and for $200, there is plenty of backup parts available, just no improvements, then give this thing a look. It's pretty cool. I will upload videos in the future if I change things with this truck and make upgrades and, make improvements and see if those are actually improvements, and I'll let you know what I break when I do decide to put the castle system in it. Comment away with anything that you want to know that I may have missed or left out. This is my first RC review, so I'm positive I screwed up a lot. I always love hearing from you guys. Viewers, you're the best part of YouTube. The community is the reason I stick with this. So have a great one. Keep your throttle, finger, trigger wheel, happy, clever RC reference in my outro. Goodbye!
It's okay? Well, thank you, Booger.